All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Board business, budget committee assignments. We had Director Wilson and Director McLaughlin review our candidates, so let's hear from them.
We had a bunch of well-qualified people, and it was really nice to see so many people willing to give time and energy to the school district. And we selected two. For position 1, Joanne Miller. For position 2, Allison Rory. So that's our recommendation.
So I would entertain a motion, and then we can discuss it before we vote.
Chris, would you make that motion because you have the names?
Oh, I move that we approve
Let's do one at a time.
Joanne Miller for position 1.
Okay, it's been moved to approve Joanne Miller for budget committee position 1. Do I have a second?
All second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion over Joanne Miller? I don't know her. Do you? And I didn't look at the applications. Is there a kids in school kind of thing, or anything that we want to know regarding
Lots of work with community activities, Planning Commission, Extension Board, Oregon Health Authority, lots of experience, grant writing,
Okay,
it's all kinds of information.
Okay.
Things there.
sounds good. Any other discussion? Okay. Oh, go ahead. Oh, she's on the committee.
She's the deck.
Oh, right. Okay.
She was one of the two.
You had two off the committee that.
Right.
Okay. Excellent. I appreciate that. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion for our other position.
I move we approve Allison Rory for position 2.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
All second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I want to tell you a little bit. She has over 10 years of experience with a variety of boards and nonprofits that include budget creation and budget oversight. And she works to understand history and mission of the organization by reading, asking direct questions, likes to remain within the scope of the task at hand. Anyway, really a lot of experience working with those kinds of things.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? Okay, then all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have our two budget committee members added. I will say this, when Dr. Morse and I did it last time, there's a lot of good candidates. You can only pick one from each
Yeah,
zone, so it's
yeah.
too bad. If you didn't make it and you're watching this, try again. We love seeing a plethora of great people trying to apply, and so thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is superintendent evaluation. So in the packet was the process for last year where we basically go over the superintendent goals, and then we also go over the leadership components that are in our board policy, and we rate Andy as individuals, and then we get together, discuss our ratings, and come up with a composite evaluation. We also look at a survey that the administration does in terms of how his leadership is affecting our administrators. So that's what we did last year. The point of this agenda item today is to discuss the process for this year, sort of using that as a starting point and discussing how we want to move forward or discuss it. I don't know if anybody has anything. I guess I would just say, since I'm talking already, the system worked pretty well. It's pretty much I wouldn't call it the most formal or objective process in terms of it's not, we're not using a rubric or anything, but it works pretty well in terms of discussing what we see are working well and what maybe needs some efforts. I don't know, thoughts from anybody?
In general, the process was pretty good. I know there were some questions that I always kind of kicked back on that seemed redundant and I think poorly worded, but we get to the point where we can share with Andy through this process how we grade him.
And I like that there's feedback besides ours. It looks like that's an important component.
Yeah, having gone through it last year, I think the discussion
leading into it, and then being able to share that feedback and how the process works. Kind of like Director Wilson said, the form is necessarily not perfect, but I think the process works pretty well.
I mean, the most important part of an evaluation is, well, feedback. Feedback is important for growth. So I guess I'd ask you, Superintendent Gardner, do you feel like you get good feedback for growth from the process as it stands?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say there, you guys have a rating scale on there. And so I've been evaluated for 15 years on a similar scale. And it will sometimes move because a lot of times people will not remember what they scored me the year before or whatever, right? The most important part for me is always written, like what you write out and what you were thinking of as you're attaching a score. And then once that's compiled, then I think there's a really good discussion about, what we can improve on and that kind of thing. So the more like fleshed out in writing your score is, I think the more meaningful it is to me. And then when we see it across 5 different people's written submissions, it just gives me context.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's kind of what I was getting at with the tools, not like a rubric, right? It's open to interpretation, but that's the most valuable part is is the anecdotal sort of feedback.
Yeah.
That just sort of is what it is. It's also interesting that last year anyway, you could see that different board members interpreted different things differently, but then the opportunity to get together and discuss how we interpreted certain aspects of the evaluation process kind of helped coalesce what we're looking at as individuals and come together in terms of how that looked overall.
So I just had a random thought through my head. Would it be beneficial or would it be hurtful to have, for the 3 of us who did it last year, to have that previous evaluation so we can see how we rated him and what we said? Or do you think that would be detrimental to the current evaluation process? Because I'm torn on it, and I just thought I'd bring it up for thought process. And
You mean like get it back?
yeah,
Do we even have it? I don't know. Individuals.
Chris has it somewhere. I'm certain of it.
I think it's probably better in a well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a good question.
you're torn too.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know. Go ahead, please.
I think from an executive session standpoint, that it wouldn't be something that the 2 new board members would be privileged to be able to see because they weren't board members prior.
Oh, I got you. But you're okay. But you're talking about just getting our own back.
Yes.
You didn't keep a copy of it.
Yeah, because I didn't keep a
As an
copy of mine,
individual.
just to see what I did last time so that I can try to be consistent.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do that by request. So if you want yours back and you didn't keep
Okay.
it, ask. I can't remember if I kept a
No.
copy of mine or not. So, okay. So I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to add, but I can't. I can't really think of anything. So, if anybody, any further discussion? Otherwise, do we need a motion to do? Is this a?
No.
There's just a discussion. Okay.
Already in
I'll update it with the timeline and then we'll bring it back at the March 9th meeting and then you'll approve it at
Approve it
that
as a
point.
process.
It might be good at that point to kind of have a discussion on the questions and calibrate what the questions mean so that you're calibrated as to what they mean when you just said that there was some interpretation.
Yeah, especially the
It's
one.
so-
Can we
it's
get those
just-
blank forms fairly soon? Do we have from last, are we gonna use the same ones as last year, the same questionnaires?
Yeah, what I will update is the timeline and all the date stuff in the template that's in there, so the questions are there.
Okay.
But it might be good for you guys to discuss it at the March 9th meeting, just to give context so that everybody's rating it the same way, if that, you felt that was an
Well,
issue
yeah,
the
just hope
year
we get it like a
before.
week or so
Yep.
before so we could
Yep.
have some time to
Yeah, no, you'll
reword
get
it and do
it.
stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Because there's 4 leadership characteristics that are state law and policy, right? And then there's the other, and then the 3 goals. So we do 7 points, is that right?
I know there's a number of them
Okay.
in policy, I don't
Yeah.
remember if there's 4 or more.
We seem to do really well on the goals, and we're a
Yeah.
little bit more scattered on
Yeah,
the,
the other ones are required by
They're required,
policy,
right.
and that comes through the state through.
and those are the ones I think we should definitely discuss and calibrate on at
Yeah.
the next meeting.
Yep.
Yes, if we're going to worry about interpretation, it would be nice to have some of that done up front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. So we'll do that as part of the approval next time.
Good.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Then we are on to district leadership team updates, superintendent report.
So a few things to cover tonight, and I think they're on the next slide, Chris? No problem. So just a quick update on classified bargaining. We'll talk a little bit about the LRFAC committee, and then we'll update on the PCB issues that we have been working on this winter. So the bargaining, we've had a couple of meetings so far. We met on February 5th at the OEA office down here on South Pacific, right across from, what's the name of that place?
Moss Dairy Farm.
Moss Dairy Farm, very nearby. And so
not there.
that was my first time being in the building. It was actually a really nice building. And Jamie, what's Jamie's last name?
Henderson.
Jamie Henderson, classified staff member, cooked us an awesome dinner. And there were, people there in the audience as well as the bargaining team. And we just had a pretty good meeting. We did exchange, we proposed 3 language articles for change. They had a couple people absent and did not share any that night, but I think the next meeting will be busy. And it was a good meeting, and I think they put out something that reflected the same thing. So we'll continue to work forward, get all of our articles on the table here in April, and then we'll start working on that. We have done some work since the fall and have put together 10 comparison districts, and I think Lebanon is added to that, of salaries and insurance information, and we have sent that out to all members so they can see what the salaries are. The only challenge in classified is we have 75 approximately different positions in our district. Many districts only have 42 or whatever. And so what we generally do with our comparisons is we pick the 12 positions that we know all districts have, and then we compare on that. It's the only way to make it manageable. No district categorizes their office managers the same way, right? One person's office manager 4 is an ascending to greater responsibility. Another district might have an office manager 1 that has that. So it's really difficult sometimes. And so we try to spend some time, get the 12. So we're working towards the next meeting is scheduled for March 5th, 3 to 7 here at the district office. And the only thing that is a little bit different this year is that meetings are videotaped. We had gone in and said we thought live streaming would be best, but in a compromise, we post those 24 hours after a meeting so that all aspects of the meeting can be viewed by all members of the union and the public.
Andy,
Yes.
did that start time move from 4 to 3? Because I thought we had moved them all to 4 o'clock start time.
It alternates.
I'll confirm that because I think at the end we were alternating, but I will confirm that.
Would you, thank you.
Yep.
3 to 7, 4 to 8.
Yeah, it
Okay.
alternates, depending
Oh.
on location.
When did
Okay.
that happen?
I think it was at the last meeting. We'll double check that and get that out to you.
Was this the second,
I was
second
there,
meeting or
but-
third meeting?
That was the second meeting.
Okay.
Missed that.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the Long Range Facility Committee. It's going to meet again on March 3rd. And some of the things that we're going to be working on, we will have survey information back for the committee to help the committee move forward on some key issues. What would the priorities be if we were to move towards a construction bond? We have a few scope issues, and many of those are political. We are also going to hear from Flow Analytics on our 10-year population projections for each building. So each one of the buildings in our district has a current student population, and they have worked on this to understand what in 2037 it will look like in each building. And so with small buildings, sometimes the margin of error can be large, right? A family of 5 moves in, and we have a couple of schools that would be a 5% increase, right? So we have to kind of look at some of those, but there is a general trend. It reflects the trend that we have shared with you guys about enrollments in decline. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the maintenance needs in our older buildings across the district. Because the architects have, for 2 meetings in a row, set up committees to look at priorities for the bond, there's a lot of pressure towards building new, and I don't want it to push aside the fact that we have a lot of buildings with maintenance needs. And so Lauren will be, our facility director will be bringing in with Dave Bolin, and they're going to talk about what do our buildings need to be maintained as we move forward. At the April 7th meeting, and we've talked about that tonight, building costs per student will be shared with them. You guys will also see that at the time that we have that built, and that is a way to look at the size of buildings and their efficiency fiscally, not just maintaining them, but the fiscal structure of each of the buildings in the district related to their enrollment. And then finally, we have set tentative meetings for August, September, and probably early October for this committee to come together with consensus. That's a big herd of cows to move here, right? So to bring everybody together to a consensus set of recommendations on not only what we would put in a bond, but how we will address the maintenance of our buildings and what we would do, what we would recommend that the board do around the size of buildings, right? And that has been expressed as a topic that they are interested in from the very first meeting. So, and then PCBs, we'll talk about this. This is something that we have talked about with you guys so far, but polychlorinated biphenyls were present in the lighting of most of this district's buildings for a long time. Production was stopped in 1979 due to PCBs causing cancer. Once that was known, then they were taken, it was no longer legal to produce them. They probably lived a bit longer in buildings, and they do leave a residue of PCBs in buildings. And so if you think about this, in 1979, PCBs no longer were manufactured. All but 4 of this district's buildings were built before that. Many were done decades before that. And so it's a gift of older buildings. We undertook to remove them here in this district in 1994. The EPA had, I think, sent out some guidance, but did not require a ton. And so most of the PCBs were removed at that time. All those lights were replaced. In 2003-04, the EPA set new standards, and Greater Albany took it on in 2005. I think at your desk or your place here, you have a sheet with some green writing on the top of it. Greater Albany undertook in 2005 the removal and the mitigation remediation of all the lights in this district of older buildings. And that involved logging each room. Each room had a map of all of the lights. It had a checklist of what was present. If they found a PCB ballast, that was noted. If there was any spatter, which could have come from PCBs, but may have been from later lights, because even later lights tended to spatter a little bit. All of that was cleaned, and it was all logged, room by room, hallway by hallway, across this district. When that work was done, and all of those had been remediated, then the district tested and then had to provide proof to the EPA of all of that work and the fact that they had been disposed of in an approved process. And I think you can get rid of them by burning them. It breaks down the chemicals. And so all of that was done and was submitted to Region 10. And what you have in front of you is the Region 10 record of all public schools, but I think I even saw the University of Washington in there, of districts that had engaged in that remediation. And you'll note that there's a couple of districts that did some of the work, but they were not accepted, right? And so Greater Albany did all that work and it was accepted. And so that's for your information. Let's go to the next page. So this year, the OEA notified us of their concerns with PCBs on October 24th. This came in conjunction with a concern about the West Albany staff. A former staff member had passed away. They had a concern that their cancers were related. And so we have been working with the OHA, and we'll get that out to you here. We expect to receive a decision around that cluster here very shortly. But they shared with us at the meeting that they thought that PCBs were a concern for the district as well. So we did share with them this work. They have tested at locations in 4 schools: West Albany High School, Memorial Middle School, Calapooya Middle School, and South Shore Elementary. OEA has assured us that they would share any unsafe levels at any of those sites testing that they found. And we have appreciated, they have communicated orally that there is one room at South Shore Elementary that is of concern. And so we are working on that. But we appreciate that they have shared that result with us. And so we'll move forward to do more testing. Let's go to the next slide. So we are going to move classes out of that space. We'll conduct an air sample test, and it may be, because we're going to work with Apex Laboratories, we're also directly consulting with the Environmental Protection Agency, the Northwest Region 10. It's the same crew that received this report, but we'll work on that as well. Anything that we find, we will be sharing out. We'll certainly share it out with the South Shore staff and parents. A few key points here. PCBs are man-made, but exist in many things in our daily lives, such as they recur in food, right? And the South Shore staff said they shouldn't be there, but they are. So there's a given level. And I want to make it clear, too, we expected to see some PCB residues in these samples because we knew that we'd had lights there for a long time. But we also know that the testing was done at the end of mitigation. We are also cognizant of the fact that it could be another cause other than the lights, but the lights and the ballasts are by far the most, the highest producer in any given environment of that, but we cannot say for sure that that is the whole picture. And so there's more work to be done there. We want to work with the staff, and we'll work on that. The most important thing, and I think that staff needs to hear this, we are committed to staff and student safety. Like, that's overriding in the whole thing. And so we will get an answer. It may raise another question. We will then pursue that because we think that that's important. We are not two sides. I think the OEA and the district have a common interest in the safety here. And we want to approach this in a manner that, like, when in doubt, we should check it out. Right.
Quick question.
Yes.
So they mentioned, the OEA mentioned that they had done a test. Did they mention anything about where the test was in the room? Was it near the lights? Was it on a door? Did they mention any specifics about who ran the test? Was it, that just seems like a lot of unknowns for verbally
Well, one of the
telling you
things,
something that's so serious.
yeah, we they have shared anecdotally with us that they have worked to gather dust from the room or from ducts. And so as we get further down the road, we will certainly be working on the air quality in the room at present. And if necessary, the EPA did not rule out the idea that we would also be able to do some dust as well. And we will follow their guidance on that. But in terms of exactly where in the room, Bruce and Susie went with me over there today, and they looked at the room and they thought there was plenty of dust for another sample. So, I mean, there was quite a bit of dust. So we'll have to look at what that means.
It seems to me, maybe I don't understand, but if we have a significant safety concern in a single classroom, I assume we're not using the room, which is
That's
creating
right.
a disruption. So I understand why are we holding back the documentation to help us get to the bottom of that, minimizing and end the disruption of the kids' learning? What's the holdup here? Why isn't OEA giving us that? What we need to get moving on this?
I think that would be a question for them. I'm not sure what their rationale is. I know that they, at this point, are reluctant to share.
Huh. Reluctant to share information about how to make our schools safer for kids? Weird. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's the only question I have.
Okay. Tomorrow, we'll meet with West Albany High School. Over the next couple days following, we'll meet with Memorial Middle School and Calapooya staff, where testing also has occurred. It's important to note this. We have tested at 4 schools. They have shared with us the one. I'm not prepared yet to say that we don't have any PCBs, because I believe that there are going to be PCs in most samples that we take out of any of our old buildings. The level is the key, right? But at the same time, we have not been notified of any other room that is a concern. And so there's a passive, like if you haven't told us, and they have agreed that they would share with us a room that is a concern. They have also shared that they have the results. And so at this point, we do not know of another room that we need to take any action on. Does that make sense?
It does. It's, hindsight's 20/20, but I sort of feel like this is this important, and it is. You from the go, it should have been, here, we're going to test together and show the results together. We're going to know instantly whether we have a problem or not. We're not going to wait around and let you tell us and then tell us something else in a week and then another week tell us something else.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the safety of our staff and our kids and disruption of learning environments. So I would say if we ever have to do something like this again, we may approach it differently, so that we're not left hanging on whether or not some other organization is going to decide whether or not they want to share with us.
I think it's fair.
One more thing. In the last 30 years, our testing ability has improved exponentially. So we can find things and now parts per billion, and they're working on parts per trillion. So as we get further and further along in testing, we're able to find more things. But what's important, as you pointed out, is the threshold. What does the EPA says is an acceptable threshold in our environment, and then what do we find in the buildings? So that's what we need to focus on. Not that we actually find it at some point. I think that's going to be a given, like you said. But to what level is allowable in our buildings?
That's right. And there are several different ones, which is one of the major reasons we contacted.
Several different thresholds?
There are different thresholds for types of material, things
Oh,
like that.
okay.
And so that's why we're going to work with EPA to sort that out.
Okay.
And we'll, of course, be communicating. We will communicate tomorrow with South Shore families. We met today with South Shore staff. They were great. And we're just going to, they brought up some great questions. And so we're going to work on answering those and incorporating them into a plan. And Apex Laboratories is already working towards an air test in the room, and we'll keep you guys apprised as that happens and as we get results. And of course, the South Shore staff will be a part of that as well.
Do you have any idea the length of time the testing occurs? Is it over a week, or is it a couple days, or?
No, my understanding in talking to Doug, I can't remember his last name, from Apex, is that they believe they could go in there after hours and draw a sample in one evening.
Okay.
And then ship that off with a turnaround a week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, but we don't know that that will be conclusive to the point where we would say all clear. There may be other things that the EPA may ask us to check out.
Certainly.
And with that, I rest.
Okay. Business report. See the previous video.
Yes, unless you have questions, I don't have additional information.
No. And for those of us just joining us via video, we have a whole work session with a really in-depth budget report and some questions. So feel free to take a look at that and watch that and reach out if you have questions after you see it. Yeah, excellent job on that earlier.
Thank you.
Okay, next is board member reports. I specifically have the IRFAC on here, but we got a good report from Andy. So if you don't have anything to
I
add.
do not. Sadly, I missed that meeting
Okay.
due to illness, so
Okay.
Nothing to add.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what me as a board member not on the committee would want to hear from you guys. And I guess just if we're going to have to make a really hard decision at some point,
Right.
a heads up would be nice, but otherwise I don't know what I'm even wanting to hear. So, yeah. Okay, any other board reports? Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Okay. I wanted to congratulate West Albany Wrestling in their district title. I'm hope, Zion, I'm not taking away some of your thunder, but it was, I thought that was wonderful. And Andy had talked about some of the increase in middle school sports activities and what they're doing. And we're really happy to have seen middle school sports wrestling added to it this year. And that's only going to help the wrestling programs get better, because as these young kids learn how to wrestle, they get better and better as they get more practice. And we had, when we won district title, we had 14 wrestlers in the top 4 in the district. So that was an exceptional outcome. And I really appreciate what they all did. Congratulations to the coaches. Also, Zion brought us these wonderful Whirlwind, this is probably the second thing I'm taking away from you, publications. And you're making me look good. And these are fantastic. If you have not had a chance to read the Whirlwind publications, they are really well done. The students do a great job. The paper is awesome. It's a really high-class publication. I recommend you get a chance to check that out.
So it's been a long time since I was a wrestling coach, but there used to only be 13 weight classes, and you could only put in 2 per weight class, which means, if that's still true, that's more than half the team qualifying for state. That's amazing. So if that's the
Well, I
number-
think West Albany has like 120 wrestlers out, so
Okay, but they couldn't send them all to, I don't think.
no,
anyway.
they're not all going to qualify on that
Right,
team.
right. That's amazing. 100, geez, really?
Yeah.
Where do they put them all? That's crazy. They must
They
practice
pack them in a
shifts.
tiny wrestling room, and they have no issue making weight.
Yeah, I bet
Very
not.
hot and sweaty
Wow.
in there.
Okay. Okay, well, then let's move on to our student board member reports. First up, I have Skylar.
Did you want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry, did you have one? I'm sorry, did I miss you?
Well, I just went over and visited Liberty.
Oh, yeah, let's hear about it. I want to hear all about
And
it.
it's just really fun to watch an elementary school work because that's not my background, and I'm always amazed at how happy and productive everybody is. They're working very hard. I was impressed.
Good. I apologize, I didn't call on you. Stephanie, did you have anything too?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, student reports.
I mean,
I'm just going in order. If you want to flip on each other, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, you already got kind of some of your stuff talked about, so I think it makes sense.
Okay, so I'm just gonna elaborate a little more on the wrestling stuff because there's a little more stuff. So we were district champions, and it's kind of special because this is the first time that we have been since 2007. So pretty good. We had 4 boys become district champions and then 1 girl. The 14 boys are going to state, but then we also have 2 girls that are also going to state, but they qualified a little bit earlier, so that wasn't this weekend. And then also Coach Horn was the league coach of the year. So that was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for swimming, we had 14 people qualify for state. Our girls team placed 5th overall, and then throughout the day, many people took state titles away, like in their individual races. For cheer, we got 2nd place in state for our 5A, 6A co-ed traditional division. And then we placed 1st both in JV and varsity for the game day. I think it's the Grand Slam competition. It's the other category. Basketball, we're on track to go to playoffs. Our girls team is ranked number 5, and we're 17 and 5. And then our boys team is ranked I think number 3, I didn't write it down. And then we are 19 and 3. And then we also have, if you guys want to come support, we have a game tomorrow night. Boys plays at 5:30 and the girls plays at 7. Performing arts, this weekend was solo and ensemble. West Albany had over 30 people participate in solo and ensemble, so we had a really big show out. And I don't know who made state because Welsh and McFadden did not tell me this morning, so I cannot tell you. The scores aren't out yet. But then for our jazz band, we have a really great program. They placed 1st at the West Salem Jazz Festival a couple weeks ago. And then they also had, and then they also had the jazz dinner I told you guys about a couple weeks ago. And then next week actually, I couldn't process that. The musical is opening, so we're doing Frozen. From March 5th, 6th, 7th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. There's showings at 7 p.m. And then the matinee on the 14th is sold out already. So,
Ready?
yeah. Sorry, sold out. So get tickets now. There's probably not going to be many at the door. And tickets are $15 for adults and $12 for children. ASB News, we have raised $1,400 for Polar Plunge, and we had over 30 divers. And that was like raised within a week, so that was pretty impressive. I have some attendance reports, so like comparison from last year and this year. So last year, our daily average was 90.98%, and this year it was 92.16. So we did increase. Our regular attendance rate, so the kids who come 90% of the time, last year was 70, and this year at the same time is 72. So we are seeing, so it is climbing up. Unexcused tardies went from 12,960 to 9,732. And then the number of ninth graders that are on track is a little lower. Right, last year it was 84, and then this year it's 82. So, but they're trying to push a little more. And then just like some activities, like clubs are doing stuff. BSU is going to be attending the African American Youth Leadership Conference in a couple weeks. Asian American Pacific Islander Club, I know that they're doing some cultural outreaches to the elementary schools. And then our journalism program, we are attending the University of Oregon Journalism Conference at their Portland campus this Wednesday. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Since you mentioned attendance, and I
Yes.
imagine you're in so many activities that you probably have to at school all the time.
Yeah.
But do you have a theory as to what kids that maybe don't have great attendance, why, what they're doing instead, or what might be impacting their ability to come to school regularly? And you don't have to. It's a big question to ask
It's
you.
a
And,
big
and Mr. Engel will be here in a month or two, and I'll ask him the same
Oh,
question.
asking the same thing.
So you can punt it. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good question. I know for me, it's really hard because I miss a lot of school because of activities and because of things like, because not just my activities, but then also regular things like appointments and stuff add on to that. So it does get really hard for my attendance to be up. But like, I guess like, I know like it gets hard for kids, especially around this time of year, to come constantly to school. Like I know this in my siblings. Like just like it's easier to just stay in bed than get up, which is like kind of just like that's how kids are. But it's the reality. It's not great, but
Okay, that makes sense.
that it is. Yeah.
So the goal would be to make it worth it for them to come to school.
Yes.
To make that the
Have like an
choice.
incentive. Yeah.
Incentives. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Great report.
Yeah.
All right, Skylar, go.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to start with the important state level affairs that happened all last weekend. The Unified Basketball team won the Unified Championship at the OSU. Second, I believe, back to back. I believe it was they were champions last year. Now this year, we have a wonderful team. Percussion placed second at the NWAPA Championship, and I know that last year they went to I believe Ohio for like a national championship. So I can see that they're on track to do the same thing again. Cheer got second at the OCCA championships. Dance got second in traditional and hip hop at the Park Roads competition. 8 students, 4 boys and 4 girls, are going to state for swimming, and 3 boys are qualifying for the OSAA state championship. Swarm Robotics had a scrimmage against Corvallis, then a competition. They're having a competition later next month. Let's see. Ascend Acapella competed at OMEA, so an ensemble competition last weekend in 2 categories, traditional and contemporary, and along with the girls group and the boys group competing as well. Earlier this month, wasn't last weekend, but still a lot of stuff happened last weekend. Earlier this month, 3 students got regional finalists in the Southwest Regional Thespian Festival at Bend High School, or Summit High School, sorry. I guess I'll list off the names since I know them. Ezra DeVilder, Abby Davison, and me. Let's go.
Well, congratulations.
Hey, Skylar.
There you go.
And now for, I want to mention one of our athletic commitments, LJ Kyle going to Western Oregon University for football. Great guy. He's a great guy. Athletics, the girls basketball, they're currently ranked 4th in state in their big game against Silverton tomorrow, determining their win-loss ratio. And so we're going to see how that goes tomorrow. really excited for them. The boys basketball, they had a big win against Dallas last Friday, and both teams, both girls and boys, will have their senior night on March 3rd. And with the winter season coming to a close, spring sports officially start on the 2nd of March. Now for the arts, theater, the theater program is holding auditions for Little Women, the one-act play, this week. Just started tonight and ending Wednesday. And choir is preparing for the OSAA festival season. Super excited for that. Now for school events, Sadie Hawkins is this weekend at 8 p.m., I'm pretty sure, and the theme is Party in Paradise. So it's gonna be like a tropical kind of like dance. Yeah. The Spring Choir Bazaar is happening next weekend on March 7th, and March Madness, our annual March Madness competition tournament, is happening March 10th through the 13th. In
How do we get our squares? How do we get in? Is there a buy-in?
I gotta ask.
Okay. Let me know. Please.
Just for the other miscellaneous things, night school is starting tomorrow, running from 3 to 4:30 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's an opportunity for students to recover their credits and accelerate their makeup time. And the classes included in this is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, English 9, English 10, Biology, and Integrated Science. Also, forecasting is coming up on the 5th and the 6th of March. It's a lot earlier than I thought it'd be. Huh? I know. I was like, the Avid presentation to the middle schools are happening next week. And finally, I want to talk about the career day that happened last Thursday. Yeah, thank you. And it was a success, not only in operations, but in numbers, with 130 presenters coming in that day. I got to see a lot of great people that day. It was awesome.
If you could find a parking spot. No, serious. It was hard.
Yeah.
I had to park in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. No, like, especially during graduation, it is packed.
All right, that's it. We're good.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious that you're calling your 3 to 4:30 program night school, but other than that, great report. Okay, let's go with community and school presentations. First up, North Albany.
Tonight, we have the pleasure of all of our North Albany schools to present. First on the list is Principal Kylie Soa from North Albany Elementary School.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. If you guys have seen me report to the board before, you know I love talking about North Albany, so happy to do that. Our mission at NAE is to provide rigorous and engaging education for our students, both academically and socially. We will work together to provide and model excellence in learning, and I would love for any and all of you to come out and see. Chris, you should come out and see. Chris was my cooperating teacher at Calapooya Middle School, for those of you who don't know, so she helped me get my start here, which is amazing.
Oh, I did not know that.
And now you do. I spent 11 years in middle school, and I'm in my 9th at elementary school. So we have 3 goals that we're looking at this year: reading, math, and attendance. So at the beginning of the year, we especially focus on the students that are 2 or more years below grade level. At the beginning of the year, that group was 35 students. During our mid-year benchmark testing, it is down to 19. We have a phenomenal staff, and we have an even more phenomenal MTSS or coach in Jennifer Gilder, who organizes our entire reading intervention program. Not only does she organize it, she is part of it. She is with students every single day, and our lowest students. She's one of our most highly qualified reading teachers, and so she is there supporting not only the kids, but also the SEAs and teachers that are teaching those kids as well. Our goal is to get that down to 5%. But I think one of the most important things about that 5% is, yes, those students will still be 2 or more grade levels below, but the amount of growth that they're making is still happening. So if we can get our 5th grade students to go into middle school with at least the third grade level, and I'm talking about 13 kids by the end of the year. And there's a lot of different reasons. There's been attendance, there's home life, there's learning disabilities, but if we can get those 13 kids as far as we can get them before we send them on to middle school, we know that we are doing a good job. So the goal is always 5% or less. So in the typical MTSS tier, your students that are needing that like intensive intervention is, in a typical triangle, is 1 to 5%. So we are sitting at about 5% last year and hope we can reach that goal again. So we cut it in about half from beginning to middle. If we can cut it in half again, we will be getting close. So goal 2 comes in math. It's been really fun to have a new curriculum this year. It's even been more fun to get to work with iReady and the coaches that have come in to help us as administrators look at how our teachers are using the curriculum and how we can best support them. At the beginning of the year, we had 55 math students that were 2 or more grade levels below, and we've cut it in about half again at mid-year, which is about 27 students. So if we cut that in half again, we will be sitting around 5 or 6%. So that's the goal. And that would be the trend if you look at our ending data with the 7, 6, and 5%. So that's what we're hoping for. Teachers are enjoying the new math curriculum. It's been fun but challenging because the scope and sequence are slightly different. And so the grade level going into the next has a few holes, but we have been focusing at NAE on vertical alignment. And so that won't happen next year when they move forward into the next grade. And goal 3, of course, is attendance. You can't have math or reading if the kids aren't there. During the last school year, we were sitting around 78%. Last year, 85%. And I've always wondered, why are we at 85%? Because when we run numbers at school, we kind of run them like Zion was saying, like, oh, like 90% of our students were here today. And we always have 90% of our students or more there in a day. What I didn't realize, or when it finally clicked, so 85% of our entire population is there, 90% or more. So we have about 22 kids that aren't regular attenders. And so we are a small enough school with, roughly 280 kids that we can take those 22 kids, learn what barriers they're facing, meet their families, figure out how to get them there. Some of it's illness, some of it's vacations, some of them are barriers that we can help with. And so finding and learning the community and the families is how we do that. For school, for the kids, for incentives, we do fun things. We have class competitions on who can be there. We do silly things that their teachers can do. I dress up as an alligator sometimes and take pictures with them.
When do you do that?
I posted some of it on our social media. You can check it out.
I want a picture with an alligator.
I'm gonna be at the I Run in the alligator suit.
All right.
It's on the same day as our.
Hot.
It's really hot. Yeah. It was especially hot on the day I passed out candy canes and I had a sweater on over the alligator suit. So that was fun. But we try to make school fun for kids and engaging as well. And I think, like Chris was saying, at the elementary schools, the kids are still really excited to be at school. And the more that we can fuel that for them, the more that the secondary schools will see that as it grows with them. So hopefully 85% of our students will be there 90% of the time or more. I would love to see more of that. January hit us very hard with illness, so I'm a little nervous to see what that looks like in the end, but that was unavoidable. I know it hit every school very hard. As far as early literacy goes, I can't speak highly enough of our primary and MTSS teachers and our SEAs that have gone to so many trainings and work with Jennifer Gilder to make sure that they know our different curriculums and that they are meeting the needs of all the kids that are in our interventions or small groups with extra support, and really focusing on that core instruction and reading, because the interventions don't work unless you have that strong core instruction. So to do that, we have push and support. We are constantly analyzing data. And again, having a coach full-time in the elementary schools has been an absolute game changer. And I think every elementary school administrator will tell you that. for literacy and math. The cell implementation, that has been actually quite fun. So we are grouped in trios, and we get to go around to each other's schools and observe different classrooms, and then kind of calibrate and compare how we're using the cell rubrics. And that has been such a neat opportunity to grow and learn. With my staff, I was able to have them self-select areas of feedback that we identified in August, and have been utilizing those in addition to something I'm looking for when I go in to see them. Next steps, we will continue to practice and refine meaningful and relevant feedback. That's really a goal of mine, is to make sure that the feedback I give is quality and relevant. It's especially hard when you have phenomenal teachers and you know that they are really performing at their in the top tier, and they're also hungry for feedback. So that's been something I've been really practicing. We're going to continue to keep up with the observation cycle. At my school, I have 10 teachers on a formal observation cycle, which means I observe them 6 times a year, and 8 on the informal with 4. For 92 observation cycles during the school year, I have 18 left as of today. It's actually been really helpful for our administrative meetings. We've been getting a list of how many we have done, and I think that that has been really helpful. I have my own spreadsheet, and it's color-coded and everything. Nobody's surprised by that. But I really also like having the extra piece of like, okay, people are, paying attention to how many we've done and what we're doing. And, just kind of to get it done. So I think, the points of pride and promise. I have such a great, little collection of alligator things nowadays for all my little pictures. So that's been super fun. One of my favorite things that we do, and I'm glad Bree is here to hear this, but one of my absolute favorite things that we do is that we partner with the NAMS leadership. And they come over once a week for lunch recess with our kinder and first graders. And that has been so fun. Not only do we get to see the kids that we have had in our own schools, but I get to meet kids from South Shore and Oak Grove too. And sometimes we just let them do free play and sometimes we'll specifically buddy up a little guy with a bigger guy if we know that they have a certain set of needs. And it has just been so fun to watch, and the kids have just done a great job. We also are just moving into Oregon Battle of the Books. We have Mileage Club, Lego Robotics clubs that feed into Swarm. We have 70 students signed up for our 2 days a week before school running club, which is crazy. Wow. And that is because of Danae Holmes, our PE teacher. She is phenomenal. She hosts that 2 mornings a week. And it is so that our kids are prepared for the iRun 5K. Likes to win it. We're on a 5-year winning streak. But when you have 70 kids willing to come to school before school and run, and then they all don't you guys be thinking about this now? when they're all willing to come and run before school, and then they all sign up for the iRun, that makes for a really great experience. And then the winning school, of course, gets some money to use for their PE department, and Danae's a phenomenal PE teacher. If you want to see what elementary school PE looks like, please come visit my school. It's so fun. We are very lucky to have PTA and community involvement with things like Jogathon, Halloween, Carnival, Daffodils and Donuts coming up the day before spring break. We just had a math night last week. Like I said, we're preparing for the iRun. We are not as active in the iSwim, but I know that Oak Elementary would give us a run for our money even if we tried. And then this spring we will be participating in an art walk because this year we have a music and art fine arts class for specials. So I could go on, but that's my last slide. What questions can I answer for you about North Albany?
Kylie, do you use any of the AI tools for your observations?
I do, yes.
Yeah, tell us about that. We've been learning about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually been kind of fun. So when I go in and do observations, I take notes myself, and then I use Nota, a transcripting tool, and then through Magic School, using the enterprise that Chris Sullivan built for us, I have my notes and my transcripts combined so that it will timestamp different places in my notes with quotes from the class. It's not perfect, and you absolutely have to proofread it because they'll say some bizarre things. But it has really streamlined the process, and I can't type fast enough to capture everything. And I feel like with me taking my own notes, utilizing transcripts and then having them merge together, that has really given me a more broad picture each time I go into Observe. And it's been really cool, really useful.
You think that's what's allowed you to be, I mean, it seems like you're well ahead of your observation curve.
I also really like being in classrooms.
Well, great, but I'm just curious, is that the tool that's been helping you
Yes.
to achieve that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it has made it, I mean, the amount of time I was going to spend in classrooms would have been the same, but the amount of time I need to spend outside looking at my notes and combining them with transcripts, I think that has greatly reduced the amount of time. And I think it's actually improved the quality of my feedback because I don't know if you guys know, but Chris Sullivan has spent a lot of time working on very specific commands for Magic School using our cell rubrics. And so it's very specific. And so we can say, hey, I'm really looking at student engagement here. Here's what I noticed in the classroom. Here's some of the things the teacher said, and it will combine it for us. And then that gives me talking points on what I can give feedback on. And sometimes it's spot on, and other times I'm like, oh, you misunderstood that. Like,
Sure.
and so, yeah, I like it. And I think that it is definitely a useful tool, but does not replace, the actual being in the classroom, knowing the teacher, seeing the kids, and gathering your own info.
No, but I imagine it's, what I was kind of getting at, I think you alluded to it, it allows you to give the feedback so much faster.
Yes, that's the best part.
Which makes it relevant.
Yep, that's absolutely the best part.
Perfect.
It's more eloquently worded than I do, too. So,
Yeah, you got a question, anybody?
I just want to say how much I appreciate Kylie. I think one of the things, she was a middle school teacher and she's an elementary principal, but great people skills, and she puts the right people in the right seats on the bus, right? She has her best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So I actually had kind of a question about that.
you bet.
Sort of, in an indirect way. And this question is somewhat of your bad luck of coming right after the budget.
That's okay.
So is your PE teacher full-time for you?
Yes, it is.
And do you have a music teacher?
I have a part-time music teacher, yes.
Okay, and do you make that call as a principal, full-time PE, part-time music, or does district make that call?
Actually, yes, I have 1.8 to use for specials, and
okay.
how I distribute that is up to me as a building principal for the most part.
Okay.
I've always had a full-time PE teacher, and the way that I fill the gap with the other 0.2, because I do need it, is we use the library for library time on the 4th or the 5th day. rather.
Okay. And do you know why the number's 1.8? Is it a ratio? We talked a little bit about that at the work session, or is it something else?
It has to do with the population of my school, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's consistent. That number will be consistent. Same school, same
Yes.
size, but have the same
Yep.
number. Okay, good. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you, Kylie.
Great job.
Okay, next.
Next, we have Sue Turner from Oak Grove Elementary School to present about the phenomenal programs that she has been leading.
Well, Kylie did such a good job, and she has been my mentor, so I'm just going to invite her to come on up and do it for me. I know. She has been my mentor since coming to Oak Grove. Actually, before that, when I was at Meadow Ridge. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and tell you about the great things happening at Oak Grove Elementary. Our mission and our vision is to be a place where everyone feels welcomed and valued and challenged to achieve personal and academic excellence. We want to be a safe, caring, positive, and supportive learning environment for everyone. Our first school improvement goal is all around our student population making that growth. So typical and above typical growth as measured by iReady. And so what we have up here for you is our goal is by the end of the year that 80% of our student population would be making either typical or above typical growth. And so what we're looking at is our mid-year. And so the goal on the left That's okay. I thought it was mine. On the left, we want to see that our median, we're about 50%, and we're actually at 78%. So we're making great progress towards this goal. And the things that we have done in terms of reaching that goal is fidelity to teaching the priority standards and using our reading intervention programs. We do a lot of monitoring and making sure that our instructional strategies are meeting the specific needs of the students. We do core review and intervention review meetings regularly so that we can look at the data and adjust our instruction accordingly. This is just looking over cohort percentages and growth over the years. Now the 25-26 is just the winter score, so we still have a ways to go on that last column. But looking at our scores throughout, we are well on our way to meeting or exceeding where kids were in the prior year. Our second school improvement goal is around math, and very similar. We're looking at 75% of our student population making typical or above typical growth. And again, we're using our iReady diagnostic. And so again, we just look over and we see that at this point, about 56% of students are working towards that, making progress towards that typical growth. And so we can gauge that we're well on our way to meeting that goal of 75% by the end of the year. And I do have to say, echo what Kylie said, that I'm getting very positive feedback regarding the new math curriculum. Teachers are excited about it. They're embracing it. It is challenging anytime you have a new adoption, but they are really excited about diving in. And we are also looking at that alignment from grade level to grade level, because I think that's the big challenge, is knowing that some of the kids haven't had the things that you're beginning to teach. They haven't had the foundation for that. And so each year that will grow stronger. But really positive feedback from the staff. And again, looking at the cohort data through the years, and it just looks like we are well on our way, just keeping that strong. And then our third goal is also around attendance. We have had a history of really positive attendance, and last year we had a little bit of a dip, and so we decided to put a focus towards 87% of our students regular attenders. So again, that's 90% or more in attendance. So some of the things that we do to help with that is we kind of look ahead, like right away. We pull some attendance data to flag students who are trending towards chronic absences, and I take the time to reach out and contact them, contact families, see if there's anything that is getting in the way, any barriers that we can lift for them. And then we also try to always have lots of engaging activities and things happening at school, so nobody wants to miss out. And we do a lot of advertising of that, and we have monthly drawings, and we have attendance awards for each class that hits 90% or higher. So we just have a lot of exciting things going on, and I have had a lot of parents say that their kids don't want to miss. They get upset when they can't be at school, and so we let them know that if they're really sick, they need to stay home. This is just looking at our average of regular attenders over the past several years compared to state averages. And you can see that we have increased from the 21-22 school year. We have increased, last year we were at 82%, but that was a dip from the 23-24 school year. So that's what had us place our goal at 87% for this year. I know you've heard this a lot about early literacy, but I do have to say we have an amazing K-2 team that really takes literacy seriously, and they have done a lot of work on their own to enhance the program that we have at Oak Grove. These are some of the things that they are doing daily, but they also do a lot of research on their own. I know our kinder team has done a lot of research in the science of reading last year, and they incorporate a lot of I just think really great strategies and really engaging strategies. And that's the big thing that as a former kindergarten teacher, I love seeing is they make the effort to really create programs where kids are excited, a lot of gamification of phonics and all of the different skills. And it's just been really fun to watch the kids get so excited about those foundational skills and becoming such good readers. So that's been really fun for me. I've really enjoyed last year our CEL training, and the implementation of CEL has been really great for me. Coming in as an administrator straight from the classroom, I did not have a lot of experience with observations and giving feedback, and so it's been really beneficial for me and our staff to be able to go through a program that is so clear and concise. And so I've really enjoyed this. I don't know how much everybody's enjoying me popping in throughout, but it's been fun for me to be in classrooms and do the monthly observations. And so I put in there, I have 21 certified staff for a total of 110 observations. And I'm happy to say I am halfway there. So I'm right on track for the year. And it's been really great to just go in, and I too have been using the AI resources that we have, and that's actually been super fun for me to be able to transcribe the observation and get really great, not just the analysis that the AI from Magic School gives us, but to be able to give suggestions that are probably more on point than anything that I could just come up with on my own. So it's been really great. One of the suggestions recently was around questioning strategies and deeper level questioning, and I was really impressed with the feedback it gave me. So I created a list that I can use not just for that one observation, but going forward just in discussions. So yeah, so it's been really great. It's been really great. We've also been asked to host a few peer learning walks from other schools, which has been really nice, and those are coming up in March. We'll have some teachers coming to visit some of our teachers and do some walkthroughs and observations. So that's been great. All right, so some other key priorities this year for us is just continued safety and academic excellence, positive community for a rapidly growing population. So currently our population is at 370, and actually I think I have an update on that. It's like 365, I believe. So we just had a family move out. But that was a big increase from last year, and so you know, just there's a lot of growing pains that come with that. And it is a large school. We're the second largest elementary school, and so then also this year we have integrated 2 specialized programs, the K2 and 3-5 FSC Foundational Skills classrooms. And so that's been an adjustment for both our, our whole school community, but also me as an administrator, and making sure that that, is functioning properly. And I want to give a shout out to our special programs department. They have come in recently in January and done a reset for our 3-5 foundational skills classroom. And we had a staff turnover, and they came in and trained the new staff and have supported us tremendously. And we've really seen some great things happening. It's still a really big job, but they have really supported our building, and it's been great. Other priorities for me is consistent parent communication. Our community really appreciates open communication, and they're very involved. We have a lot of parents that volunteer at our building, and our PTC is very active, and they appreciate any communication of any changes and celebrations and all of that. And then, of course, we want to be consistent with our behavior support documentation, both with the district and special programs, and making sure that we're documenting everything so that kids are getting what they need. One of our big points of pride this year, we received a ranking with U.S. News and World Report as number 20 among Oregon public elementary schools. And that was a huge honor. I don't believe there were any schools in our area, Corvallis, Lebanon, any of those areas that hit the top 20. So we were pretty excited as a staff, and we were able to celebrate that together around the holidays. So that was really fun. Some other points of pride and promise. Last year, we finished in the Elite 8 for the Oregon Battle of the Books Regionals, and that was a huge celebration. You can see the girls there on the slide. We have an annual community service project that we do, our Days of Giving, which was really fun this year to have Becca come out, and she came out and took lots of pictures and celebrated with us. And that's just an opportunity to teach kids about the value of their time and their efforts giving back to the community around us. We have monthly family nights. Our PTC sponsors bingo, trivia night, movie night, and then school, the teachers all put together a math night, and the PTC will be doing a spring carnival. To keep things exciting and fun, we have weekly Golden Awards that supports our community guidelines for success, and we have monthly school-wide celebration assemblies. All right, do you guys have any questions about Oak Grove?
All right, questions?
One quick question. I might have not understood it. You had mentioned on math, the chart for the cohort math data. I might have missed it, like I said. Was there a reason why it looks like for the winter of this, the numbers are all significantly lower across the board? Is that just because of the testing time, or okay?
It's winter, so we're at the mid-year point, and all of those other scores were showing our spring scores. Mm-hmm. And so that just shows the progress of where we're at so far, and so we'll have higher scores to compare to in the spring. I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. When I was comparing it to the reading one, the reading ones were all comparable, but then the math ones were all much lower, so that's why I was confused.
Yeah, and I think a little part of that too, because we did discuss just in general that math was appearing much lower this year, and I think a lot of that has to do with our new program and just getting used to it, and again, not having that vertical alignment yet.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you talk a little bit about the picture on the right?
That's me riding a chicken.
Yeah.
Do I need to say more? I have a horse that I ride because, we're the Mustangs. It's a great day to be a Mustang. I have a dinosaur and a chicken. I've been known to dress up as a snowman.
The question I have is,
I was
are
an
those
elf.
fake legs on the top or?
Yeah, they
like,
are.
Okay. Just trying to figure out how
I've
that's
also
working.
been an elf on the shelf that's hid all around the school. So, yeah, I keep busy. It's a big job.
Thank you.
I have a question. Sorry. I haven't asked this to any of the other elementary school principals who presented, but do you also use Go Noodle?
Oh my gosh, when I was a teacher, I loved Go Noodle.
You said you use it?
I don't as a principal.
Or, yeah, but
but
does your school?
I love Go Noodle. What's your favorite Go Noodle?
What's going on? Help us here.
Go
Popsicle.
Popsicle.
That was gonna be
Okay,
my
so
answer.
Go Noodle is a program that has all different brain breaks. So it's all different movement videos that kids can dance to and sing, and some are calming, and some, like Popsicle, are not so calming. It is
They're
just
great.
one of my favorite. When I was a teacher, we used that all the time. I love it. That's great.
I hope that stays in schools forever.
It's
Yeah.
great. Do you guys still use Prodigy?
You know what? I don't know. Do we use that?
Because you guys should use Prodigy.
Do we?
Is that part? Is that part of
I
the
should know the answer.
classroom PE minutes that you do?
It is totally part of the classroom
There you go.
PE minutes.
Yeah.
We exceed minutes for that.
And
Okay.
on the on the statistics, I want to know. I'm glad that we're like in the mid 70s or mid 70s when it comes to attendance. But why do we think the Oregon average is in the mid 60s or low 60s? Like,
That's not for me, is it?
I mean, anyone, I don't know. Just like,
I don't have an answer for that, but I did wonder when I was putting together the information why Oregon, on average, has such low attendance. And I don't know how that compares just to the district as a whole, because I just really look at Oak Grove's. But yeah, I think that's a great question.
There are a couple pilots underway in the state, Skylar, that are working on different theories of action. But one of the things, what Kylie said is true. School attendance used to be on just percentage of kids there that day, so it was a higher number. Now it is the percentage of kids who make it all the time, right? They cannot lose it. And so that the number that people use to define attendance has dropped because of that critical way that it's measured. Because it used to be schools would say, we have 92% attendance. Now you look more deeply and it might be 80% because the kids have to make it all the time.
okay.
But there are a
that
couple
makes sense.
things. We'll bring that up to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, great question.
Thank you.
Okay.
And last on our docket is North Albany Middle School, and Principal Bree Zika is here to present. And it looks like Mariah, are you up to the mic as well? Moral support? Okay.
You're welcome up here. All right.
That's funny because Bree said that you were going to be up there doing the thing.
Sure. Come on up. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. We are really thrilled to be here. NAMS is doing awesome stuff, and I have been itching for an opportunity to tell someone about it. And so thank you for being here and listening. All right. So at North Albany Middle School, we work in collaboration to ensure that all students have the skills necessary for successful academic achievement and to develop the whole child so they may be positive contributors to our community. I always like to shout out that all, that's bold and underlined, because our team does really important and deep work around ensuring that our English learners and our students with IEPs and our students below the poverty line and our kids of color are achieving at higher levels of growth than what would be than the general population. And I'll say more about that in a couple slides to come. This is so much information, I'm sorry. There was just a lot to be excited about. So our first goal area that I want to talk to you guys about is math. I say they're up at the top that expected typical SBAC growth is 1% increase in proficiency per year. And so when I first got to NAMS a few years ago, we were at 33% proficient. So you would expect us to be 34% proficient the next year. But we looked closely at the kids and the data that Kylie and Sue were sending us, along with South Shore, Periwinkle, and Waverly, who also feed to NAMS partially. And we noticed that if you look on that chart, 46% of the fifth graders who were matriculating to us were proficient in math before they came to us. And then there was a 14% drop in their first year at NAMS. So this is 3 years ago. And so we did some really deep and critical self-reflection around why that drop, and made a commitment to making that drop go away. And so while the goal should have been 32 to 33% proficient, we set an aggressive 15% goal over the course of 3 years, with 5% increase per year. And so last year, our goal would have been, our goal was to move from 33 to 38% proficient in math, and we exceeded that goal. So we actually made a 10% proficiency increase in just 1 year. And so now our goal this year would have been 43, but we hit 48 last year. And so we still have that 48 proficiency goal over the course of 3 years, but we still want to see 5% increase this year. So we want to see 43 to 48 this spring, which would mean if we hit that, we will have hit 15% proficiency increase in just 2 years, which I think we can do. I think we got it. Mostly because Mariah leads our math team and she's incredible. So our mid-year status update is that we, on iReady, our kids have moved from 33 to 41% proficient in just 4 months. And so if we assume that we're gonna see that continued growth over the course of the next 4 months, we would be at like 16% growth, which would mean we would exceed that goal of 48% and hit 49. And so how are we doing this? There's nothing we're not trying, right? We have thrown every piece of pasta at the wall to see what stuck. But really, we're starting to make sense of what it is that our students and our staff need. We have an incredible student body, phenomenal, supportive parents, incredible teachers, incredible admin, office staff. And part of what we've needed to do over the last 3 years is just get everybody rowing in the same direction, everybody working on the same goals, cleaning up student schedules, cleaning up teacher master schedules, giving kids access to intervention if they needed it. So some of those systems pieces, we've made a lot of growth around. We've moved tons of obstacles out of teachers' ways so that they can just do what they do best, which is build relationships with kids and teach. The iReady math curriculum, we're trying it on this year. Our teachers are excited to have high quality materials in front of them. The slides are there, they match the textbook, they match the parent letter that goes home. And so again, that's one of those obstacles that we've moved out of teachers' ways, and we're really grateful to you all for supporting that. But it's also hard because there's a high level of academic discourse that's required of students, and that's new for middle school teachers in a lot of ways. And so we, like the elementary schools, have been really grateful to be in partnership with the iReady coaches who have been coming in and helping our teachers learn from both each other in the building, and we've also been visiting Timber Ridge's teachers to learn from them. When we move on to reading, again, we set this aggressive goal that's not as aggressive, but instead of a 1% increase, we set a 3% increase, 3.5% increase per year, with wanting to grow 10% over the course of the next 3 years. And so over the course of last year, we almost met it. We moved from 56 to 58% proficient. So again, like we surpassed the state expectation, but we did not meet our expectations. So we're continuing to try really hard. Our goal for this year is 62% proficient. Our kids come in a lot higher as readers compared to where they come in doing math, and so that's why those goals are so different. So again, if we look at iReady and how much growth we've made thus far, we've only made 4% proficiency growth since the beginning of the year. And so if we double that, we'll be at 8%, and so we will not meet our goal by the end of this year. And, you know, like, we're all achievers at NAMS. None of us like, you know, getting that 1 or 2. We're all like proficient and distinguished, and we hold ourselves to really high expectations. And so while we don't love that, there's also just a collective understanding that right now we are full steam ahead focused on math. We are doing math in homeroom. We're giving up elective to take math intervention. We are supporting, you know, math in student-led conferences. And so literacy is not on the back burner, but there is a school-wide focus on math. And so it makes sense to me that we would be making average growth, but not aggressive growth in reading. One of the things that I do want to call out is that I'm really excited about and proud of our ELA team, because they have been balancing HMH materials with piloting some supplemental materials from a few other organizations that really focus on knowledge building, and they are seeing phenomenal growth with their kids, and our CEL growth on our ELA team is astronomical as a result of trying some of this stuff on. Okay, our third goal area is attendance. This is a team that Mariah runs and has done fantastic work with. We, as you can see from the chart, much like Oak Grove, we exceed the Oregon, we're higher than the Oregon average, but we did take quite a bit of a hit returning from COVID, and then we were almost back to being at that 84%. And then I think the strike, it was hard for our students to return from the strike last year. And when you're a middle schooler and you get to be in bed for an entire month, it can be tough to get back up at 6:30 a.m. and, you know, be at your locker by 7:40. And so last year we took a bit of a dip, but I think that we are back on track to meet our goal of 79% this year. Currently, mid-year, we're at 81% regular attenders. Some of the things that Mariah and also Shanna, who is our FACT attendance support person that we work with part-time, attribute some of this success to is ultimately there's no one-size-fits-all. Like Kylie was saying, really getting to know each student, each family. And sometimes it's an incentive that works, but ultimately it's partnering to figure out what the unique obstacle is for that particular child and family, and doing everything in your power to remove that obstacle in partnership with them, and then celebrating them when they get there. Okay, things to be proud of. Oh no, we're not there yet. I am proud of this, but that's a different slide. So we, our college and career and our STEAM work, our STEAM teacher, Mr. Acey, has done a fantastic job building our STEAM electives and our career exploration lab and electives. And then this year, we were able to drop that work down into 6th grade. And so for the first time, our 6th graders are taking semester-long STEAM electives, and they also have access to visual art through Mr. Acey, which they've never been able to have before. And then for career and college readiness, our 8th graders, you can see on the right in that photo, that's Peyton from last year with Miss Hatton, her 8th grade ELA teacher. They spend the entire half of May and half of June, the rest of the school year, working on a personalized career project where they talk to experts in the field, they do research, they figure out what college degree they're gonna need to help them get to that career, and then they have to present their board in order to walk across that stage. And so it's a really cool, high expectation that they get really excited about, and they present that work to the 7th and the 6th graders. That's kicked off by a career day that you can see We have a city council member there, and then we also have some FBI agents that the kids were like super excited to meet, who happen to live in North Albany. So that was a really special day that our kids really
Where do
love.
they live?
I can't tell you their exact address.
Okay, I just want to know where to avoid.
I'm just saying we have like really awesome people in our midst. And then so moving on to the cell implementation, we're data nerds at NAMS, and so what we did in the fall is we scored each of our teachers on the full rubric, and we did sort of like a heat map of where their strengths are and where their areas for growth are. And as a school, NAMS teachers are really strong in the classroom environment and culture domain and the curriculum and pedagogy domain, but their largest area for growth was in the assessment for student learning domain. Things like using learning targets, using rubrics with kids, ensuring kids know what mastery looks like and how to get there, giving kids opportunities to reflect on their learning, revise their work. And so we have a school-wide focus on supporting the adults in our building with learning those practices this year. And so in each of our monthly PDs, Mariah and I will model some high leverage, really strong assessment for learning practices for our teachers. And so, for example, the pink thing on the screen is what we call a learning target tracker. And those are the adult learning targets for our spring professional development cycle. And every time we meet, they rate themselves to show how much they've grown. And then I was actually in an observation today of Katie Kelly, our 8th grade science teacher, and I noticed that she had a learning target tracker for the hot air balloon unit that she's doing with her students. And so these are our teachers at NAMS. Like, they're just hungry for high quality resources and professional development, and when they get it, they immediately the next day turn it around and make beautiful work happen. We're reading this book, Leaders of Their Own Learning, which is awesome. I shout it from the rooftops. I think I've like planted one in each of your boxes, but it's like just this really great professional development resource that shows teachers how to bring each of these practices to life. Okay, our pride slide. We're super proud of our arts program at NAMS. This year, we sent 9 students to the OMEA Honors Ensemble, which is the highest number of students we've ever sent in NAMS history. Those are just our instrumentalists, but we also had 3 vocalists who went. Amelia and Andy are just like incredible music teachers. Kids love that program. And then on the right, that is our a cappella honors ensemble, and they are singing at the Prax Center at Oregon State University, and they did a phenomenal job. We have really strong school culture. This is a testament to the work that Mariah and our dean, Mr. Thompson, are doing. Only 3% of our students are in the red zone with 6 or more behavior referrals. 88% of our students are in the green zone and have 0 to 1 referrals. And then what I'm really, really proud of, in addition to all the things that I've named, is that this is the first year in NAM's history that our English learners have actually made more growth in both math and reading than their English dominant peers on the winter iReady tests. And I'm proud of this for a million reasons, the kids, the families, but I think one of the things it speaks to is that our teachers are really embracing differentiation, and they're not just teaching to the students who are like 100% ready for the grade level instruction. They are using things like warm-ups and do-nows and formative assessment to figure out exactly what every single kid in front of them needs, and then they're shifting instruction accordingly. We're seeing the same sort of growth for our students with IEPs, and that just makes me incredibly proud. Questions?
Anything, guys?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I really like the learning target trackers.
Thank
for your
you.
teachers. And I think that would be fun for kids to know that their teachers are working as hard on learning as they are being asked to work.
That's a really great idea. Yep. Anytime we can humanize the adults that are standing in front of them is a good opportunity for sure.
Well, and the idea that you get to keep learning your whole life long may not thrill everybody at the beginning, but it works better if you keep doing it.
For sure.
All right, very thorough presentation. Thank you.
Awesome job, Bree.
Okay, we are on to the consent agenda. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, it's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. And we are on old business. There is none. So we're up to our equity report. Gilsey.
All right. Oh. Should it just be, aha, perfect. Hello, good evening. So, I wanted to start with, giving you an update on our Black Student Success Grant and some of the stuff we've been doing, with that funding. If you recall, that's a joint, Lynn Benton grant that I worked with Joanne Miller on, who's your newest addition to the Budget Committee, as well as Jason Dorsett, former president of the NAACP, and Executive Director Ty from Can Cultivate. And that has been a brainchild of multiple school districts in our area, trying to increase positive outcomes both in classrooms and in belonging and culture and identity for our Black and biracial students in our area. I have the privilege of working with our BSUs in our district, and some of the stuff we've been doing thus far. We did a bowling night in the fall, which Roger very graciously donated lanes and time for. We did a cocoa and movie night at West during the winter month. And then we also did an MLK community trash pickup in partnership with some council folks, the NAACP and APD, because I also sit on their community team, and we wanted to involve students in that. And then we shared a meal with some family members and students afterwards. On Friday, I will be hosting the first Regional Black Excellence Symposium. This was more of a deep dive to get the 4 districts that are participating in this grant to come together, their students to come together, 10 representatives from each district, and there will be some workshops. Councilwoman McGee will be there to speak, as well as Mayor Johnson on leadership, and will give the students an opportunity to work amongst themselves and also with their peers, and they will walk away with like a one-pager essentially offering to their district leaders on what they would like to see shift, or what they would like to see continue in their buildings to support their academic success, safety, belonging, etc. So yeah, it's been a really fun year spending time with some awesome students and their families. We continue with our district equity committee. We have our 3rd meeting tomorrow. And the piece that we honed in on really was to focus on community engagement and family understanding of systems. The biggest feedback we received at the beginning of the year was that not everyone's aware of all of the systems to navigate bias incidents or IEPs or so many various things. And I thought it blended well with our goal as a district from our superintendent to engage community more. So the next steps for that, we started with a NYU comprehensive self-assessment tool last session, but we didn't get to finish sharing out, so we will continue that tomorrow. And that was essentially, we independently scored what we think based on our own proximity to the district, whether we're employees or parents or students or community members, what programming exists, and then we shared out. And that will just kind of be a gauge for us to look at how we can expand and improve those scores. And then also tomorrow, in partnership with Jamie Almanson of APC Collaborative, who we've worked with for many years, He and his team will be coming to the district to start doing in-depth empathy interviews in all of our buildings with students and staff to just get a snapshot of where the culture and climate lies for all folks in the building. And they are going to come and kind of share on that work with our team for the first 30 minutes of the session tomorrow. And yeah, I hope by the end of the year we'll have more of a goal planning for next year, right? This was kind of thought partnering, honing in on where we saw the biggest opportunity for growth and then planning for next year. So I would think that some of that will be more outreach and maybe some listening sessions with families, et cetera. We'll think that through. As always, I present on our bias incident data. I wanted to give you a snapshot in a different way. Our numbers have held fairly strong. If you recall, I've shared that high numbers mean that the adults are responding to the situations. And historically, we've seen lower numbers the higher students get in age and grade. And I think that a lot of that comes with, maturity and also maybe underreporting. And so the biggest thing that I wanted to note was that we have seen a more accurate snapshot of what is happening in our secondary levels, and that has come largely through our external tracking system, which comes directly to me, meaning students have been using that external tracking. And while that's good, I'm glad to have that snapshot. I think the next goal would be then for students to feel able to move the dial on reporting with folks in their own buildings. So as an antidote and trying to bridge that gap, I've also started to do PD with some of the teams that support students in buildings, because I can't be in every building every day. And there are lots of wonderful, trustworthy folks in those spaces. So I did some PD with our counselors, our secondary counselors last week during PLC time on what their bridge to bias incidents look like. So that while they're not the ones who are deciding on the discipline or the education that's coupled with the incident, they are there to support students. And so we talked through like some of the ways in which, students often report like, well, folks might say like, oh, well, they didn't mean that, right? We often want to try to, like, well, when a little kid gets hurt, oh, you're okay, right? So we talked through like reframing how to maybe allow safe space for kids to just express the harm they're feeling, and then what it might look like to build a safety plan, what it might look like to check in with admin to make sure that those kids are receiving that additional support as they're recovering from a bias incident. I also met with our ELD and Spanish teachers and did a training with them during their PLC time as well. We have seen a rise in racially charged bias related to immigration for our Latino students of late, and so I wanted to make sure that they were well equipped to handle and support those students. So numbers are holding strong. We're in my third year here, so I would see, maybe a little bit more, and then hopefully we'll plateau and start to dip down again. One thing that I have shifted into, and will next year we'll have a more accurate capture of incidents too, and I want to let you know so you're not alarmed. We are going to just track all incidents across the board every time. Historically, level 1 was like, oh, we're going to have a restorative conversation, but what we learned with any system that consistency and improvement is always necessary. So I don't have a way of knowing if I'm an adult that I've had a conversation with Andy if there's not something in there. So then Chris might have a conversation with Andy and they might assume it's the first time. So there was just some situations that weren't captured, and then therefore the harm continued, or potentially the inability to offer education and growth was lacking. So at the first level, the goal, well, at all levels, the goal is education, right? I strongly believe that most times kids aren't intending to cause harm. They potentially don't know how they're causing harm. So giving them the opportunity to understand, and that will also be improved. So creating systems of educational packets for if there's suspensions or even out-of-school suspensions, that there's some education that comes along with the reentry into school, not just a 5-minute conversation or whatever, that there's a paragraph written, there's an article read, that also parents are involved. And we have already seen success with that, particularly at the secondary level. So just note that there will be a rise in numbers, hopefully from consistent reporting and also because we're going to be tracking at a higher rate. Yeah.
Hey, Kelsey, before we go on, just looking at the data, it's really interesting. The first one, bullying, you see really high incidence of bullying in elementary and with a decrease over time.
Yeah.
And then you look at the opposite of that, the ethnic and race, it starts out so small and grows into high school level. It's just
Yeah.
an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and I think, my best guess would be a lot of it is developmental, right? And also at the youngest age, bullying is just classified, like it can be on so many different things. So it's going to be really high. I will say that my hope is that will decrease as well over time, the ethnic piece, and honestly, all of it. This year, in partnership and through suggestion from our new principal at Liberty, I started developing trainings or lessons that I've been giving to 4th and 5th graders at all the elementaries around just kind of entry-level understanding of like words that we shouldn't use, the meaning behind it, and just covering a broader understanding of like when we make fun of people's accents or the food they might bring on their lunch or their family dynamics or whatever it may be. And it's just kind of a lesson on empathy as well. And of the schools that I've done those in, I know that those have supported student understanding and learning. So hopefully over time that will also be a decrease.
Yep.
You were talking about the learning component, right? So I do expulsions for a district nearby, and when a student's expelled for a racial slur, and for every expulsion, there's usually you're expelled for this long, but you can come back early if you kind of do these things. And when there's a racial slur involved, one of those things is they have a ready-to-go curriculum that we assign as part of that. Do we have something like that here?
So I've been working on building that out, and also like sometimes it's something random will happen. I'll get a text from an admin. Do you have something around this? I don't currently, but I will work on it, and I get it to them by the end of the day. But I'm also always open to seeing what other resources exist.
Yeah, I
so
might
I'm not
send
reinventing
you.
the wheel.
Yeah, I might send you their way because
Beautiful.
they made it sound like they had one commercial one that they just had access to, that they
Interesting.
could pull the trigger on online curriculum of some kind. They
Got it.
covered that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean some of it too is like nuanced. So
Yeah, yeah.
there are times when I might.
And you should definitely, but it's
Absolutely.
at least it's a good tool.
Yeah,
that
for
I
sure.
know they have.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we move on to the next slide? Okay. So additionally, I wanted to speak a little bit about some of the engagement that the Welcome Center has been doing for our Latino community. As you know, we are 35% Latino community in our district. And I'm really grateful for my team and the cafecitos that they do, which are essentially like coffee hours with families. And an antidote to some of what we heard in our DEC, District Equity Committee, was to do some more tailored coffee hour sessions with our Latino communities, because sometimes having additional engagement from community that's trusted is helpful for retention and understanding of programming. So we talked about IEPs, we talked about TAG, we had FACT come. Our next one will be a local attorney to come and answer some student and family questions. In addition to that, Skylar's not here, but we actually went to Mecha's meeting last week at South and just checked in, talked to them about any of the upcoming fundraisers they're having. They're going to be hosting a bowling night, which I will attend. There's 2 Latine events that happen yearly, one at LBCC for high school students, and then this year the Cesar Chavez one is coming back at Western. Those are 2 highly sought after high school all-day events for our Latino students. So we'll be sending kiddos to that. And then it was just an opportunity to refresh and check in with some of the kids around how to report bias and like reinforcing some of the supports that exist for them. And yeah, that's what I have for you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Already used mine.
Okay. Awesome. Who's next?
Director Wilson, have you met your question quota for the night?
Oh, I still have 12 more. Sorry.
Okay.
Gonna have to get them in.
Okay, I think you're up. Graduation rates, Mr. Schmidt.
Where do I point this? There we go. All right, I have the pleasure of presenting some information about our graduation data from last year. Realize that what you see on the school report card is not the same as what you're going to see here because that lags 1 year behind. Okay, so this is the most recent information that has just been released by ODE and the first opportunity we've had to present that to you. So I'll be discussing 3 major metrics that link to graduation rate, the first of which is 9th grade on track. Both high schools, because AOS is a 10 through 12, they don't have 9th grade, but both South and West have been working pretty diligently putting in systems to support 9th graders. I think the metric is something like 85 or 87% of all 9th graders that earn 6 or more credits by the end of their 9th grade year are going to graduate. It's a pretty predictive measure. And in addition to that, it's an essential time for transition into the high school from the middle school. It's tough for kids. So all of the things that they're doing right now to build that transition and help kids be more successful is fantastic. Last year, we showed a 3% increase. We still are below the state average, but I don't see that happening for very long. They're doing some really innovative things. Both high schools have established a house system where they have, for example, a math, science, and language arts teacher, and about 90 kids will all have those same 3 teachers. So it's like a middle school model at the high school. So those teachers meet on a regular basis to look at their student performance, track their grades, help kids set goals, build in common lessons for that group of students. So they're getting a better experience and more intensive support. West Albany High School this year has piloted a math intervention for students, 9th graders in algebra. Tristan Heisley actually looked at their iReady scores coming into high school to identify where kids are at. And they have significantly reduced their failure rate of algebra. And in addition to that, they've also closed gaps in students' math. So they had students coming in 3 or more grade levels behind. Traditionally, they would go into algebra, they would struggle, they would not pass that class. Algebra is typically the most failed class in 9th grade. And they built in the system of where they literally have an additional math class, an intervention class that's taught by a math teacher. They pre-teach the lesson. They provide access to iReady, MyPath to close gaps. They do homework help and assistance. It's been super successful. Tristan got to present at the Center for High School Success winter conference, and it was really impressive to see him present that information. The math teachers at West are so bought in that their geometry teachers are looking to provide an intervention also for second-year math students. So that's super exciting. And South is doing some really great innovative things with their 9th graders. Caitlin Scar is the counselor that does a lot of work with students, and she's doing some fantastic work. So I do anticipate this to go up quite a bit, and I'll have some mid-year data probably by next week.
If our average we went up 3%, did the state average go up or was it?
State average went up a little bit also. It's been a big focus for districts across the state, a lot of people doing a lot of work. There are several districts that are partnered with the Center for High School Success, and that is a national network. So we do get some benefit from that in terms of strategies, ways to look at data, systems to put in place.
So this is gonna sound kind of weird. I'm not sure if I may even articulate it correctly. But sometimes when I see that big a split on state data, I wonder if there's not a mechanical underpinning sort of unrelated to the idea that's creating a problem for us specifically. I don't know, we know what that would be, but does that question make sense?
There's some systems that are in place now that, I mean, I've been doing 9th grade work for a really long time. And it was something that I really enjoyed, and some of the things that I had worked to put in place in my school as a high school principal that weren't in place here.
Okay.
And it's been really awesome to kind of see this as a second go around and to see, John Dilbone at South and Tristan at West really kind of take ownership and put things in place. There's been a lot of work statewide on this, which is why you're seeing the average go up. The other thing is sometimes there is a little bit of cooking of the books when they offer credit, like, hey, we're going to offer a freshman success class that's just about note taking and some things, and it's a guaranteed pass, right? Some schools do that, some schools don't. So,
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Or are we failing algebra a little higher than other school districts are for other reasons? Things like that. We're not usually that much off the state average in anything.
yeah, so I mean, I have a slide that will go over our
Okay.
history over time. I just wanted to explain the system of ninth grade on track, and I have some longitudinal data to share.
All right.
Yeah, Chris.
Before you go on, the house system that South is using, is that for all ninth graders? Or is that for
So
kids
they
who are
have
struggling?
they have 2 houses set up now.
Okay.
Next year, I'm hoping they expand it to 3, and West has 1, and they expand it to 2. So typically, it's a student that doesn't have any other type of intervention, so they're not in AVID, they're not in honors. These are traditional, typical ninth grade students that aren't super connected anywhere else. Ideally, you want to have all ninth graders in a house system, in a house, because even the kids that are advanced and accelerated, they also struggle with the transition. It's just a different type of struggle,
Those
right?
transition years are just awful.
Absolutely, absolutely. It took about 4 years to get all 100% of ninth graders in a house system. When I was a principal, it's going to take some time because it's not just, hey, we're putting these kids with these common teachers. It's getting the adults to understand, like, hey, we are a team. We can develop a universal lesson that all kids get. We're looking at data and seeing what that group needs, and what House 1 needs may be very different than what House 2 needs. So it's that work in a PLC type format, and building those systems so teachers know how to share that information and know how to have that conversation,
So
right?
it's not canned, you actually have to respond.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Here, here.
absolutely. Here's our on-time graduation. These are students that graduate within 4 years. As a district, we increased by 1%, and are 1% above the state average. And then our 5-year completion rate. These are students that didn't complete their diploma until 1 year after they graduated. It's down 2% from the previous year, but generally when you have an increase in graduation rate, you're going to see a decrease in 5-year completers. Okay? So here's kind of the big table, right, that shows each of our schools, our 4-year graduation rate and 5-year completer rate. What I do want to point out is the number in parenthesis is a little bit different. I'll explain that. So straight out, all students in Greater Albany Public Schools as a district was 83%, 84% for South, 95% for West Albany, and 41% for AOS. Below, you'll see the change. So South had a little bit of a dip of 3%, West up 1%, and AOS up 5% from last year. Did an incredible job with that cohort. The number on the right is the completer rate, and this is most applicable to AOS. Because the state does not recognize a GED as a diploma, therefore we don't get benefit of that hard work. AOS puts an extreme amount of time, an extreme amount of pride, and they get a lot of kids opportunities post-high school because they get through a GED program. And you can see that if you factored in, and they don't have very many kids that have a modified diploma, and they don't have very many kids that have an extended diploma. So modified is, I'm on an IEP, and I am not going to meet the benchmark. I am not going to earn a standard diploma. State does not count that. And an extended diploma is someone that might be in a functional skills classroom, a medically fragile student, and they attended school, they were there, but they wouldn't have the skills to get a modified diploma, but they get that certificate. State does not count that either. And that's okay, right? But I just want to give AOS some props, not only for increasing their overall graduation rate by 5%, But they get 75% of their kids over the bar, they get a certificate of some sort, and they look at post-high school options, post-secondary options. And that's not ever recognized in a 41% number. West did a phenomenal job at 95%. South, 84%, is still very respectful and above the state average. And I know that Chad is putting systems in place right now that he'll have some big growth this year. Okay. This is our breakdown on demographic to see how our subgroups are performing in relation to the whole. So as shared earlier, all students at 83%. Our Hispanic Latino students are at 85, which is above the district average and 5% above the state average. Students with disability at 68%, state average is 72. That's not a huge gap. Our English language learners in high school, these are students that were not English proficient coming into high school and were involved in our ELD programs at a graduation rate of 75%, so 6% lagging behind the state. We are looking at revising some of the ways that we support our English language learners, and we'll be doing some professional development with staff for next year, where we have distinct sheltered instruction, where teachers are trained to provide specific language strategies in math, science, social studies, and language arts. So we're going to provide some extra training for them. And then CTE participants, these are students that have completed 2 or more credits in a single elective. It is proven over and over again that students that go and focus and take multiple courses in one elective program are more successful than those that pick a smattering of things. If you look at CTE concentrators, which is 2.5 credits or more, the graduation rate goes up to something like 96%. So if I take 4 classes in culinary arts, I have a much higher chance of graduating than if I took a culinary arts class and a woodshop class and an art class.
Or if you did music for 4 years?
Music is, it's not a CTE course, but if most kids that are in music for 4 years are graduating from high school, in my experience. So, isn't that right? Yeah.
That's your plan, anyway.
Hopefully.
Good.
So the next thing is, with the state report card, there are what's called accountability details report. And what this does is it compares where your rates are at, in this case, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation, and 5-year completer rate. It looks at what your percentage is over a 3-year time period and whether you are on your growth trajectory to get to your long range goals, right? I shared those long range goals before. And it categorizes it blue, dark green, light green, yellow, and that mustardy color. Obviously, we want to be blue all the way across. We're not quite there yet, but you'll see these highlighted in this next longitudinal chart. Oh, that section came out weird. So, gosh, that's hard to read. On the bottom, you see the indicator, and what I did was I thought I'd be really creative and line up the colors of like 9th grade on track for your graduation and 5-year completer with the little dials early on in the presentation. So that's kind of how that's measured. The bottom is just the ranges from the previous slide. You can tell by the colors. So Ryan, you look at our freshman on track rate, and we've started at 79, we dropped to 74.8, 75%, then went up to 78, and then now we're at 81. Yeah.
Question. Shouldn't the bottom left definitely be in blue? The 885%?
Oh, yes, that should be in blue. That should say 88.5. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. I know you're paying attention. Thanks, Sean. So 9th grade on track is our only yellow area over a long extended period of time. And that is something that we're working on. And we are putting in some pretty intensive systems.
Do you think it's at all related to our middle school? Do you think it's still residual effects from our middle school grading system before?
No, because if you look across the state at kids coming from a whole bunch of different middle schools, they experience the same thing.
that right?
There's a whole lot of high schools that focus on specific ninth grade on-track interventions. And if you talk to, I mean, if you ask Susie her experience, and you ask any high school teacher, it's, they're not getting them ready at the middle school. The grades don't count. They come here. They don't know they have to pass classes. They just been passed along. You ask any sixth grade teacher, and the elementary schools didn't get it done, right? Am I right?
Well, I don't know, but I'm just thinking, if you're doing that for ninth graders, that house system, it seems like it's something you would also do for sixth graders. Because sixth graders are not gonna be any less at sea than ninth graders are in that transition.
You know, it's interesting because there's like the total middle school model where you have a school that has teams,
Right.
and you have, you know, a sixth grade team and a seventh grade team, or 2 6 and 2 7 based on the size of your school, and they're doing a very similar thing.
Okay.
They're having that kid chat. They're looking at referrals. That's not happening in any of our middle schools right now, but I think it could.
We started that way,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the staffing to maintain it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. As a middle school principal, I was fortunate enough to have that team model, which is where before the Center for High School Success came around to talk about all this teaming stuff, I got to learn it as a middle school principal and the power of that model. And I went with the group of eighth graders back to the high school and was like, yeah, we're doing that. So. We're dark green in all other areas except this last year because the state graduation rate went up also. Our 3-year average over 4-year graduation was not enough to keep us in the dark green, but I believe we were 1 percentage point off, and I anticipate we'll be back on that track next year. Outside of ninth grade on track, we're performing better than the state overall, which is always nice. Some of our continued district initiatives, as I've shared quite a bit about, is our ninth grade success system. That's the transition from 8th to 9th grade. This year, our high school principals are really revising their forecasting process, and we're working on plans for next year to start our 8th graders using a program called U-Science, which is, it's a career exploration tool that the high schools have access to. We're going to be able to start them in the 8th grade, so by the time they get to the end of the year, they'll be able to have a 4-year plan as an 8th grader going into 9th grade. That currently doesn't exist. So when they go to forecast for classes, they and their parents have an idea of where they want to end up by the time they graduate. Doesn't mean that you have to know where you're going to school or what your career is going to be, but just some general ideas. So as they forecast into that 9th grade year, they will have a full plan in place on the types of classes that they'd be interested in taking. We continue to expand our credit recovery opportunities. You heard about the night school option at South. That started last year, but it's been expanded to multiple content areas, and it gives kids the opportunity to recover credit with face-to-face instruction now. It's not online credit recovery. So they meet with the teacher in the afternoon and have a chance to do that real time. AOS continues to do great things with our students and provide a true alternative experience. Their GED program has done very well. And then, of course, we're looking to expand enrollment and maintain enrollment in our advanced courses in both in CTE, advanced placement, and our college articulated courses. In addition, this year we worked with our bilingual education teachers at the middle schools and high schools. Moving forward, our students in the 8th grade in our bilingual programs, they take the STAMP test. And what that measures is it measures their ability to read, write, speak, and listen to a second language, predominantly Spanish. In the past, students, some of them earned a 6. If you earn a 3 or higher, it means you're proficient at least at the Spanish 1 level. Several of our 8th graders are testing 4, 5, and 6. For a student to get a biliteracy seal on their diploma, which means they're fully fluent in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, they have to have a 6 by the time they're a senior. We have 8th graders that are doing that. So if an 8th grader now earns a 3 on the STAMP test, they'll get a full year's credit in Spanish 1 and earn an A. because that's their proficiency level. If they earn a 4, they would get credit for Spanish 1 and 2. If they earn a 5, obviously they get 3 years, and if they earn a 6 or higher, they get 4 years of high school Spanish credit by proficiency. And we worked with our world language teachers to identify that and what that looks like. It's a pure proficiency-based model, but everybody was in agreement that the students that are showing proficiency should get that credit. So that was a big step, and we're really looking forward to seeing how that accelerates some of our learners and an opportunity for our bilingual students to get and start taking 200-level Spanish courses at LB. Okay? And then the last thing is, we continue to increase our involvement in school. There are still no fees for athletics, for student body type activities for like band and choir, and there's no fee for AP exams or courses. So we support that through Measure 98 and SIA to make sure that our students have full access with no additional fees. Okay? And that's what I have for you tonight. If there's any questions.
I almost don't want to say it, I'm not sure, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, it's a little frustrating to me that South Albany's only right at the state average for graduation, given the existence of AOS. Because if you think about how that works out statistically, that means that if they weren't offloading a certain percentage of their behind the 8-ball kids to AOS, they'd be well behind the state average. And I know they work hard, and I know they do innovative stuff, and they have been for years, but I just throw that out there as a point of frustration that, hopefully we can continue to figure that out and help them do a better job of getting those kids through. And I know they work incredibly hard. It's not a lack of effort
Right.
or a lack of care or anything else. It's something in our system is not supporting them in the way it should, I think. We should figure out what that is and make sure it gets there.
I'm working on that.
I appreciate that.
You bet.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, that is it on high school graduation. Now we're on interdistrict transfers.
Oh, this is me also. Whoopsie, sorry about that. Sorry, my computer logged out.
I'll take it. This is the tip, we set a limit each year
Yeah.
for the number of kids per grade.
Right.
So pro forma, this is a renewal of
Okay.
what we allow.
And we add seniors now, right?
Yeah, it's K-12, 50 students by grade level. The window's already in place, so.
Yeah. There's never been any reason to mess with this. It works fine. We've never been
We'd
anywhere
take
near
them
that.
all. We'd
Yeah.
go right to that
Yeah,
number.
we
if
take
we
them all,
could.
right? Yeah, we've never been close to it, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion for that?
Yes.
I move to approve the interdistrict transfers as presented.
Have a second?
I move to second it.
Okay, got a move in a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Lieutenant Gardner?
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we got the local ESD local service plan.
Yeah, and we are blessed tonight with the presence of the LBL ESD Superintendent, Jason Hay, who has stayed the whole time.
Yeah, we put it.
And he is here.
We put it at the end of the agenda on
He
purpose.
comes
That's the loyalty question.
with a long history in this district, Clover Ridge principal, I believe, and Timber Ridge. Is that correct? And so he's here to answer any questions about this. Is there anything you want to share, Jason? Thank you for coming.
You patiently waited for that microphone. You definitely deserve it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I've spent a few times sitting in these chairs over the years. Although time goes by really fast. It's been 9 years since I was an employee here, so kind of incredible. Just a few comments about the local service plan for, especially if you're newer on the board. The LSP or local service plan is our guidebook for how we provide services to our component districts. And the governance structure for that really is set up in that our 12 superintendents come together. They work with me to put together the services and determine what services go into the plan. They're actually tiered. So there's 2 tiers of services. There's tier 1 services, and that's the services that the districts decide, hey, these are the things that we want for all of our districts, without having to purchase or decide to make some sort of purchase of the services. There's things like the student information system, OT, PT, student evaluations for special education, a variety of things that are in the plan. And I think you probably have a copy of this, or you've had a copy of this at some point. The other tier of services in there is our tier 2 services, and those are actually a la carte. And so there are services through resolution dollars that part of so the tier 1 services this year encompass about $15.5 million worth of services. And then by student enrollment, each district gets an allocation of resolution services that then can be used to purchase additional things. And so Albany purchases a variety of other tier 2 services. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. We certainly have a number of ESD staff that work in your district, and what we want is for them to both be known as ESD staff, because I believe that our staff do really great work, but actually work so well within your district that you wouldn't be able to tell if they were district employees or ESD employees, that they're just part of the team. So happy to answer any questions.
Changes from, any major changes from last year?
No, there's no major changes. Yeah, so we actually do a pretty deep review of this every other year on a biennial basis, and this particular year is just, we updated. There's some picture updates in there, and updated a few things. The only one service change that's in here, and it actually shows up under tier 2, is that we're playing around with a pilot on doing some branding and marketing work. So districts, we actually have a pilot in Central Lynn to do some brand work, and that might be something that the district would be interested in at some point, preparing for a bond or preparing for other outreach to the community. And so we have an excellent marketing director that's doing some of that work and looking at how that could be packaged at some point.
Are you still doing attendance pilots with us? Do we have any, is that a partnership with you guys?
Yeah, there's a little bit, yeah. There's a few things. Yep.
Davis comes in and provides some guidance around our attendance
Okay.
community of practice, yeah.
But the case man, that people aren't
No,
ESD employees?
we actually don't have attendance people in the
Okay.
same way that.
Well, I know you
we
didn't have
once did.
officers, but I knew that there
Yep.
was like case managers or something, I thought, in the schools.
Yeah,
But they're
it's
not.
more about a consultation type of
Yeah,
model.
Gotcha.
exactly.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is what Bruce just mentioned.
All right. I will tell you, I haven't heard a single synergy-related complaint all year,
Great.
so, which is a lot different than last year, so.
You know,
that's good.
it's one of those things, like changing over a student information system is always a headache and
Yeah.
always difficult. But one of the things that our team has really been proud of, and we took it slow and methodical, is that, and it was kind of the thing, because I spent 17 years of my career here and interacted with the ESD on many different occasions as a building administrator, as a curriculum director, and I just was like, by God, it will work. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles perfectly right away. We can build up to that, but it will work for every single person that is using it, and it did. Yeah.
All right, in that case, I will entertain a motion to approve the LBL ESD local service plan as presented.
I move that we approve the ESD local service plan as presented. It's getting late.
All right, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jason, for
And
coming.
school calendar, everybody's favorite. You still have a calendar committee, Ms. Sorkborn?
We do.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how this went.
It looked like a calendar.
I didn't know, is it?
It's in board book.
It's in their board book?
Yeah, we saw it. It's fair.
Okay. It was great, and we mirrored last year's calendar because they really liked it. And so people were really excited about it. I did a survey out to all staff because we moved conferences last year from the typical November Thanksgiving to October. At the request of elementary, and it was, we gave a survey, and 85% said that they liked the change and that they felt like
it aligned more with grading and that they got better feedback for parents. And they also said that the attendance was way better because it wasn't with Thanksgiving.
Okay, good.
And so they also had a teacher workday at right after the break, staff development workday, and they really liked that, and so we did that again. But other than that, it pretty much mirrors this year's. And as you might have heard, some schools chose to go before Labor Day, and just Corvallis that I know of in the area. But we definitely did not because of the heat index, because in August, it's really, really hot. And in June, so we chose to start school after Labor Day, so that we get out later in June, and June is not as hot as August.
Right.
And so that was unanimous as well. And we had great turnout of certified, classified, admin, and it was a really good session.
And is there school on November 1st next year?
Super positive. What?
Is there school on November 1st next year? Because there wasn't this year. November, is there?
November 1st is a Sunday.
Oh, it's a Sunday next year. Never mind. Dodge that bullet. I know the teachers love not having school on November 1st. Okay. Then any other questions, discussion on that? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve the 26-27 school calendar.
Mr. Chair, oh,
I motion to approve the 26-27 school calendar.
All right, it's been moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to go out on a limb and guess there's no public comment.
You had a half hour.
Maybe a regular thing now, I don't know. Sorry, if that's all right.
Did you fill out the speaker form?
I did not fill out the speaker form. Maybe that's a violation. I didn't want
Go ahead.
Well, just to follow up from earlier in the meeting when you talked about the PCBs, not PCP, I'm tempted to say that. That's
No, we definitely
Right,
don't have
chemical.
PCP in
We
the
don't
schools.
have that.
No.
As you said, 4 schools that you're aware of, the OEA has said has been tested.
Yes.
And that they've told you that South Shore has had this result. Did they actually share specific data, or they just told you?
It was shared verbally.
Yeah.
It was not shared with me directly.
So you don't have specific numbers or levels, or, okay. Do you have an idea when those specific levels for that particular school will be shared, or is that something
We
you have to?
intend to gather some on our own now.
Okay, with Apex,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With Apex.
All right,
But
just
it was
curious.
only shared verbally.
All right.
And I appreciated that they did share it.
Right.
We had reached that agreement prior.
Okay.
Okay.
And the families will be notified tomorrow in some
Yeah, we're just gonna
email
send out
or?
something that explains why that room isn't being used.
Okay,
Out of an abundance of caution
all right.
on this. And you can write that down.
I will quote you on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Moved. Fire second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, guys.
He's adjourned.
Adjourned. Oh, February.